which
ours.
is now ours.
Right,
So
it's still
this-
our cut. We don't want to give it to them.
No, so we're gonna keep that, and then I'm gonna try to get Robert to let us do away with these.
You don't think it's people come across that way? That's what you said. People next door.
Yeah, they are.
We don't think they can now.
I don't think they can. But I mean, I'm not sure. Look at this. Here's the other thing.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Side of the property.
Yeah. No, I feel much better.
If it is, I'm going there. Until
We have one more minute. Hello. We have a full house. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's definitely a pleasure to see this crowd, and obviously for the reason why they are gathered. I would like to recognize some of our guests. We're all special guests, but I would be remiss if I didn't recognize some of our public and elected officials. Mr. Carter Enfinger, our chairman of the Bryan County Board of Commissioners, is here. Thank you, Carter. Mr. Bill Collins, Pembroke Public Safety Director. Thank you, sir. And Miss Becky Crow, Clerk of Courts. There's Becky. And the Sheriff, Mark Crow. All right. Did y'all ride together? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah. We have Chief Mike Dick, Bryan County Deputy Fire Chief. Thank you, Chief. And Billy Tomlinson, our State Court Judge. Thank you, Judge. Sean Register, he is on our Bryan County Development Authority. Where's Sean? There's Sean. All right. Also, Gil Ballard, Garden City Police Chief, Mr. Ballard, or Chief Ballard. And I think I saw Don Montgomery walk in, Bryan County Solicitor. And if there's, thank you. Okay. and Probate Judge Billy Reynolds, and he is here as well. Where's the? I still call him Chief anyway, but out of habit. All right.
Mayor, he's going to do the police report tonight.
Is there anybody I missed? Anyway, thank you so much for being here today. I call to order the July 6, 2021 City Council meeting. We have a little bit of, before we actually go into our invocation and pledge, we've got a little bit of a housekeeping thing to do. So I'm actually going to call us into a public hearing regarding the proposed adoption of the City of Richmond Hill redevelopment plan and creation of a tax allocation district. So we are now in a public hearing. Is there anybody that would wish to speak for or against the TAD, which is why we call it the tax allocation district? Hearing none, we are now out of the public hearing. Thank you. Councilmember Cox will give us our invocation, and Councilmember Fussell our Pledge of Allegiance.
Can we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much, God, for this beautiful day that you've given to us. And Lord, we have a full agenda here tonight. Lord, we have a lot to be thankful for. We have a lot of praise to be shared tonight. And Lord, we also have some very serious business that needs to be taken care of. I pray, God, that as we open up this agenda and we start having our discussions about all the different pieces, Lord, I pray that we all just be mindful that every one of us comes to the decisions from a different angle, and we just be respectful, we be mindful about that, and we just ask that you shed light, give us discernment on every decision that we are to make here tonight. We thank you for all of the blessings that you've given to us, and we ask that you could just be over this meeting in its entirety. In your precious Son's name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you would, join me by standing and removing your hat for the pledge.
Last year during this time, actually a little bit before last year during this time, back in when the pandemic first began and we were closing things down around the city, and this is before the governor took over some of the decision-making with his executive orders. This city and Chairman Enfinger, certainly with the county, I'm sure he can attest to that as well. We were in there was a lot of what should we do? It was unprecedented, and we sought advice from anybody that was qualified to give it. Medically, we had a wonderful team that very much advised this city as to what to do, from everything from mask mandates to how infectious the disease might be and so forth. And I would just like to recognize some of these people, some of these medical professionals here tonight. We have a few of them that are here and then a few that couldn't make it. But this is in recognition for your integral and instrumental role in guiding the City of Richmond Hill's response to protect its citizens at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic and through this unprecedented time. Your wisdom, sacrifice, and dedication to this community will forever be remembered by this grateful city, its residents, and business owners. Is Laurie Melhorn here? I didn't see her come. Oh, there's the horn. You can come forward, ma'am. Since this is COVID related, I don't know if we should shake hands or not. Oh, yeah.
I brought my right-hand woman with me, Heidi Baker, right there.
Heidi gave us excellent advice too, especially setting up the vaccinations. Ms. Melhorn and her staff worked very well with the city in setting up, using the Wetlands Center and so forth.
Yeah, we thank you for your support, Mayor. We're the city and the county.
Thank you.
All good.
Next is Catherine Grant. Catherine was the recipient of a lot of late phone calls and phone calls all during the day, all right, to advise us. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you. Kendra Seagraves. Kendra as well was the recipient of a lot of phone calls and suggesting what we might do and what we probably shouldn't do. And Dr. Wallace Holland and Dr. Lawton Davis. Okay, we'll get these to them. Thank you. Next is the approval of our agenda for tonight. Council, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Fussell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Cox. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved. Next up is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Fussell. All in favor? The motion carries. Next up, we have Finance Derek Cowart for a very quick housekeeping item as well.
Basically, what this is just to remove some old signers on checking accounts that we have and put myself, Mayor Carpenter, Chris, and Scott on as signers. And it's the account that we have with First Chatham Bank, the infrastructure escrow account.
Council, is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the removal of those names and the addition of the other names.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Cox. All in favor? The motion carries. I will turn our proceedings over to our police chief, Chief Mitch Shores.
Have a special occasion tonight. You know, sometimes in the course of responsibilities of being police chief, there are some things that you don't really enjoy doing, some things that just kind of have to be done. This is the antithesis of that. This is one of the things I look forward to. I told Kim after we found out, you know, kind of decision was made on who we were going to promote, and I had a chance to call a couple guys in and share with them. And I got home and I said I couldn't tell who was more excited, whether it was them or whether it was me, because I was so excited for them. But the first person that I'm going to present to you is Steve Potts. Come up here. Stand right here. now, Captain Steve Potts, I just want to give you a little bit of his background and just kind of share this with you. And I'm gonna brag a little bit, but I'm bragging on other people, so it's okay. As you know, we live in a military area. You know, we're couched between Fort Stewart and Hunter, and a lot of people talk about, you know, how they support the military and so forth and so on, and this community does that. You know, it's very gracious and very strong in its support of the military and its support of law enforcement, but I like to let people know that more than half of our officers have prior military service. You know, it's not just something we say. We have more prior military people than people without service, and Steve is one of those. You know, he served in the Army, served overseas in Kuwait and Egypt, and some drug assignments in Jamaica, and then came here. He's been here 20 years. He wanted me to let people know he's been married to Kim since 2000, so 20 years in the military, 20 years married, has 2 children, his son Avery here, who's a good shot. And if we can use him as a ringer for our next shotgun competition, y'all won't have a chance if we can cheat and bring his son in. And his daughter, who's a better fisherman than him, is what she told me. So 20 years in the service and then 20 years married, but just since I've been here, which December will be 5 years, I've kind of gotten to know Steve, and as long as I've been here, it seems like every week or every month he's taken on more assignments. You know, he was already a patrol shift supervisor, and then he took over, you know, the drone team, and then when we had some issues come up, I asked him to take over as the sergeant CID, and then he ended up being the interim commander in CID, and basically the point I'm trying to make to you is everything that has been asked of him, he has done. He has done well, and then some. So finally, really what we've done, he's been doing the work already, so tonight we're just kind of making it official that he's going to be promoted, and we'll pin him as the captain, as the commander of our CID division. And I'm going to ask Miss Kim to come up. Miss Kim Potts, his wife. I need to remember that name. So, and one of the reasons that I like to do this, having been in law enforcement, September will be 30 years, and married yesterday for 35. Here's what I know as a cop. You don't make it through, you don't have success, you don't really have any joy and happiness if you don't have the support system. And the primary support system is your family, and if you're married to wonderful ladies like these guys are, like I am, you know that your primary support is your wife. So I'm going to ask Miss Kim if she will do the honors and pin him. Practiced. The next one, and I used the term erroneously a while ago. I said 2 promotions. Actually, technically, if you read through the SOP, it's 1 promotion and 1 appointment. And let me explain to you the difference. When you go through a promotion, it's a process. You know, everybody is interviewed, everybody's asked the same questions. They take into account your evaluations, awards you've done, so forth and so on. And there is a promotion process, which is standard and the same for everyone. But in our SOP, and this is accurate with a lot of police departments, the number of appointments you can make is generally depends on the size of the department. Like if you go into Savannah, they may have 3 or 4 because they have a 500-man department. Here in Richmond Hill, I'm allotted 1 appointment, you know, which means I can choose whoever I think is best suited to be the major in the department. They do not, the city does not require, as most police departments do not, they do not require them to go through a promotion process. So the person who is appointed major, he is appointed major by the sole discretion and decision of the chief of police. And that person who has been appointed to major is Jason Sacaleris. Come on up. Now, I asked both the guys for a bio, give me a little bio. Jason's first line, married to Shannon. 20 years. I said, this boy will go far. Boy will go far. There's Tyler. His son is here. Jason also spent time, serving in the Army, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and gave me a whole list of a bunch of operations that he got to be a part in. Married for 23 years, been with RHPD for 23 years. I find it ironic that as they're getting promoted and appointed at the same time, they served together in the Army. So I don't know what these two have got going on. I just found out tonight that Kim knew Jason first. So I don't know if she traded up or what happened, but anyway, man, I couldn't be prouder, of these two guys. Sometimes I get asked the question, what kind of person are you looking to hire? What kind of person, what do you look for in a cop? We talk about integrity, enthusiasm, and teachability, and we kind of preach that when guys come here to get interviewed for a job. But on a personal level, I'm always looking for somebody who cares more about their responsibilities and their rights, more about their duties and what they think is due them, and someone who cares more about helping other people reach, their full potential as opposed to having an agenda. And I can tell you, having for nearly 5 years now, having the opportunity to work with Steve and with Jason, these two guys embody everything that you would want to see in a cop. And I say that just so strongly. I mean, I really feel like we have a lot of great people here. We have a great department with great support and a lot of great cops. And I'm telling you, these two, really, they're like the best of the best, and I couldn't be prouder of them. So Miss Shannon, if you'll come up. Miss Shannon does a lot of stuff, as does Miss Kim, with the wives and all. Just really family-oriented atmosphere that Chief Reynolds put into place a long time ago, and we've tried to continue that. And we're going to just ask Miss Shannon. She's practiced a little bit too to pin her new major.
It's a long pin.
A little aggressive.
I noticed that when they get done with the pinning that both y'all feel the need to kind of dress them, make sure everything else is okay.
If you are, or at one time it used to be in law enforcement, would you please stand? I would just like to give you a hand. Thank you. Thank you for your service. We do have a rather lengthy agenda, so if anybody who has been recognized tonight or their family, if y'all would like to leave, we'll give you a couple of minutes to depart before we begin the rest of our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clean the place out.
Yes, it did.
Bill Collins.
Okay, we will continue now. Thank you for those who stayed. Carter, you really didn't have to stay, but thank you. Thank you.
Mayor, can I have 1 second?
You do.
Because he went and got him. Bill Collins, I just want to tell you, you look good. I hadn't seen you in a long time, and you're looking good. So I'm glad to see that you look like you feel better. That was it. Sorry.
Next up, Planning and Zoning, Scott Allison.
Good evening. Hey, you guys know that you also serve as our Board of Zoning Appeals, and we have 3 public hearings tonight regarding variances in your capacity as the Board of Zoning Appeals. First one, public hearing, we have a petition that's been filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Meredith Smoke, requesting a variance to Article 12, Section 12.1.A.8 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the property located at 274 Magnolia Street. The variance is being requested to allow an additional accessory structure which will exceed the maximum square footage allowable for accessory structures on a parcel. Mayor, we're in public hearing. The applicant is here as well. But you have within your packet the section from the Unified Development Ordinance regarding the maximum aggregate floor area of being 600, as well as her application. There are photos in here as well of the existing 600 square foot garage/shed that is to be torn down and replaced with one of same size. The intent is from the applicant to clad this structure with the siding, the white siding, to match similar to the one in the rear of the property, and fitting with the type of architecture in the bottom in that area. Again, she's here and can speak further about the request if you wish.
Is there anyone here? We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak for or against? Or actually, let's do for the first. Is anybody here to speak for the variance request?
I'm Meredith Smoke. I own the property. Right now, the building that's there is very badly poor condition, and so it's like an eyesore. I've been told it's the ugliest garage in the neighborhood. It's by my neighbors. So I just really want to put something that will also be aesthetically purposeful for the neighborhood. So.
Okay.
And I am doing the white lap siding to kind of mimic the bank that was just built at the beginning of the street with that silver galvanized aluminum style vertical roof. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak against the petition? Okay. Thank you. Next up, Scott.
So we'll go through all 3 public hearings, and then there'll be items for consideration after. So next we have public hearing for a petition has been filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Doug Carroll on behalf of InMarket, requesting a variance to Section 2.G.14.A of the 2013 Belfast Commerce Center PUD document in order to allow 25-foot, landscape buffer for the property referred to as Belfast Commerce Parcel 15A, Lot C1. So, Council, you have in your packet the preliminary plat showing where Lot 15A is when you come in off of Belfast Keller. This, again, was a part of the 2013 Plan Unit Development when the Caesarstone in that area was coming into the city, and within that Plan Unit Development document, they're called for, these are not perimeter buffers. This isn't the buffer between a commercial establishment and a residential use or anything like that. It's about the frontage along Belfast Keller. Their intent is to maintain that 50 feet for the industrial section, but in this area up along the new interchange, what they're asking for is to receive a variance to have that meet the Unified Development Ordinance standards. So our Unified Development Ordinance requires a 25-foot landscape strip. They're asking to meet our ordinance, not that section of the PUD. Likely what would happen is as this develops out and more commercial comes in, the property owner, likely Rayonier, will come in likely with a request to amend the PUD document to allow for the 25-foot as opposed to the 50. Right now, that's just a variance request from in-market related specifically to theirs. Not here, so I can speak.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak for the petition? Is there anyone here to speak against the petition? Okay, thank you.
Last public hearing we have is a petition has been filed with the City of Richmond Hill by R.J. Reynolds Construction, requesting a variance to Article 6, Section 6.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the property located at 90 Rosemont Street. Variances are being requested on lot width, lot area, front, rear, and side setbacks. Okay, council, within your packet you have the application for the variance. You also have an exhibit that shows the specificity of the request. You got your lot sizes all listed down, and you know what they've done is they've listed out your largest request from a standpoint of the lot area. On your next sheet, I've actually highlighted where those are for you to show where those largest are, just to kind of clarify, because there's 6 lots shown. Put it in perspective for you. Also, what I've provided in here is a location map, as well as this section from the Unified Development Ordinance that's being asked to vary upon, related to the R2 section. I've highlighted what they're asking for a variance on that. The applicants are here as well.
Is there anyone here to speak for the petition? If you could give your name for the record.
Thank you, council. My name is John Reynolds. I'm one of the principals of R.J. Reynolds Construction. I want to thank you guys for all your time and your service. I know you don't do it for the money, so I do value your input and looking out for our city. One of the things I just kind of wanted to share with you guys, in this area of Richmond Hill, we've been involved in a number of other projects in this area. I just kind of want to share with you guys some of the before and after stuff that we have done. The first one came about was Camellia Street. That was a long, kind of drawn-out process where we had to go and get some variances for that. Those were cut down to 60-foot lots. We built 19 homes in there to try to keep kind of a theme of the old, kind of the bottoms. I know people don't want to call it the bottom or whatever, but that same kind of architectural style, and I think what we ended up with was a pretty nice product in there. In turn, on First Street, we bought a house in there that was burned down, and you'll see some pictures here of the before and after, and we put one of our little cottages up there. As well, on Carter Street, we purchased another burned down unit there, worked with the city, kind of post-purchase of the property, got with the city. They wanted to take a road through there to help with some of the infrastructure for water and sewer, and those lots were actually cut down to 55-foot lots to give the city that kind of access. So I think we have set some precedent here for what we're asking for today. Not that should really matter. I mean, you guys let this stand on its own merit, but I did want to kind of give you guys some before and after some of the things that we've done.
John.
So all I would ask that you guys is take a look at this. I've heard some feedback as I've worked through with Scott, and some people said, well, I mean, that's too many. I don't know exactly what you mean by too many. I think this kind of goes with what we've done in that area. We've taken some very blighted properties and turned them around. On the last sheet of that, what I gave you, the property that was already existing, we have made a lot of, we took out some old cars that were there. We have turned that property around and made it pretty attractive. So basically what we're doing is trying to get 3 lots on the Rosemont side and 3 lots on the Camellia Street side. Our intent is to, kind of stick with what we have done before. We haven't really decided exactly what structure we're going to put on there. It'll probably be something either along those Camellia cottages or maybe what you see on that Carter Street, where we put those two houses up on Carter Street. I will tell you, those on Carter Street are 55-foot lots. We're asking, I think, the smallest lot width on these, I think, is 72 feet. And Camellia Street was all 60-foot lots. So I think we really are, and this is no disrespect to anyone in there, but I think we really are making some differences in those areas. I mean, you already have your infrastructure in place. We're taking a tax digest on that property and probably taking it from $100,000 and turning it into $1.2 million. What we did at Camellia Street was we took a $200,000 tax digest and turned that into a $4 million tax digest. So those things are good long-term for our city. Infrastructure's already there and in place. And we would just ask that you guys would consider this. I guess when we get out of this hearing, if you got any questions, we'll be here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak against the petition? You please approach and give us your name, please. Don, did you get that? And could you repeat that, please?
Pamela Barentis. Okay, he stated that he wants to put 6 lots total in an acre. Has that land been divided up already? Because when the lots was sold, when that lot was sold, it was 1 house and 1 piece of land. 1.5 acres is how much that lot is. Now he wants to put, there's 1 house standing there, but he wants to put 2 more houses on that side and then 3 onto Camellia Street. Like all the older neighborhoods in this area, the streets are not capable. For one, I know Rosemont Street, there's not. Rosemont Street, you have the Highway State Barn across from where this property is located at. That road has been a dead-end street for many, many, many years, till Mr. James Leggett, basically back in the day, illegally moved some trailers into his property next door. And even then, that road was never connected into Rosemont Street. Rosemont Street always ended where the State Highway Barn is located at. There is no sewer on that side. There is no water on that side. There's no telephone lines on that side as well. Everything from Rosemont Street had to be run from Camellia Street, which puts all those lines in jeopardy if the lines are not to standard. Now, some of these lines, like I know the James Leggett property, which is next door, that was also bought, those lines are as old as that house sitting on 90 Rosemont Street. The roads, it's basically 1 person can travel those roads. If you have not traveled those roads, take a ride down Camellia Street and Rosemont Street, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They put in a car wash that was added since then. The traffic's supposed to go in at the car wash and come out on Rosemont. That doesn't happen. You still got 2 ways of traffic coming in on that road. The ditches have never been kept up. The piping under the ditches have been caved in some of the locations. So for him to add a total of 5 more houses onto this property, then the lines, the whole, not just the lot size needs to be evaluated. You're talking about water lines, electric lines, sewer lines, things connecting to the city. The property, all of that property is in basically a flood zone area. Through time, that ground has sunk. When the lines was busted, the city guy even came in and said, these lines are going to have to be redone to standards and drop into the ground another 20, 30 feet because that's how much stuff has just settled there. The road on Camellia Street, there's total ridges where the road has just caved in. So with him wanting to add more houses on top of the houses he's already added back there, that adds more traffic flow. That adds more to the lines that are already out of date. So I would like to know what's going to help the situation and the community besides just keep on building houses. That needs to be evaluated. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anybody else wish to speak against it? Does the applicant wish to address any of these concerns?
I appreciate what Pamela has to say and her concerns. I just want this council to really know what it is we're asking for. I mean, it's already, we wouldn't be here tonight. We're adding 1 more. We could put 5 there under the way it's zoned. So we tried to shore up these lots a little bit to make it symmetrical, to make it look from a visual aesthetic standpoint. I'm not in disagreement with Pamela as far as what existing infrastructure is in place and whether it needs some work in that area. I don't know. I mean, we were able to tap into it when we did Camellia Street. Everything is going back over to Camellia. I mean, not from Rosemont, so we will be tapping into what's over on the Camellia Street side. So while I appreciate her concerns, I think that's a little bit more in depth for you guys to consider than just this variance. Thank you.
Anyone else before, for, or against? Okay. I now close the public hearing. We are back into our regularly scheduled meeting.
Okay. So now we're moving forward with the items for consideration. First, we have the approval, disapproval of the petition filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Meredith Smoke requesting a variance to Article 12, Section 12.1.A.8 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the property located at 274 Magnolia Street. The variance is being requested to allow an additional accessory structure which will exceed the maximum square footage allowable for accessory structures on a parcel.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
Yes, I do, Mayor. I'd like to ask Meredith if the portable building that you have in the back, how long do you intend to keep that? Is that a semi-permanent structure or? That's the only question.
Council, any other questions or concerns?
No, but I would like to share that I actually went out there and got some information too. So there are three other, I guess this is the time to share this with y'all. There are three other lots in the bottom that have buildings that are bigger than this size. So the last one was put in, and it's 888 square feet on Mimosa. And that was since the new
Required a
ordinance was
variance.
put in place, right?
That's
They
right.
got a variance for
It
that.
required a variance, yes.
Okay.
Mayor, you open for a motion?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve with the caveat that the building be clad in hardy to as closely match the existing structures and appearance as possible.
By caveat, do you mean condition?
Yes, condition.
All right, so we have a conditional approval. As noted, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Ward. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Okay. Next, we have the approval, disapproval of the petition filed with the City of Richmond Hill by Doug Carroll on behalf of N-Market requesting a variance to Section 2.G.14.A of the 2013 Belfast Commerce Center PUD document to allow a 25-foot landscape buffer for the property referred to as Belfast Commerce Parcel 15A, Lot C1. I can answer any questions you have on that.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
A question for Scott. What is the current PUD list, 50 foot for the landscape
What's the
buffer?
current PUD?
The PUD currently lists a 50 foot, is that correct?
The 2013 does, so Belfast Commerce Park, the 2017 is our Unified Development Ordinance. So anything outside of the quadrants of the interchange.
Right.
It would be this 25-foot that they're requesting.
Okay.
So as you get further down Belfast Keller, if there's any out parcels or a grocery store or anything like that, it would have to be the 25-foot. For some reason in the 2013, and I would suspect it's because its primary focus, if you think about when it was adopted, was industrial, Caesarstone
yes.
coming,
That's
and everything
exactly
else, and no one really even knew if the interchange was ever going to be opened. And now in practice, they're asking to have it roll through as if our Unified Development Ordinance calls them out at a 25-foot.
Council, any other questions?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance for the 25-foot landscape buffer on
Motion.
the referred property.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Fussell. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Councilmember Cox. All in favor? Motion carries.
Okay, next we have the approval, disapproval of the petition filed with the City of Richmond Hill by R.J. Reynolds Construction, requesting a variance to Article 6, Section 6.3 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the property located at 90 Rosemont Street. Variance is being requested on lot width, lot area, front, rear, and side setbacks.
Scott, I've got a couple questions.
Okay?
One, if you could address the road situation from where the paved road ends until the end of the subject property, how that's going to be paved and paid for. If you could also talk about the utilities coming from Camellia Street, if there's sufficient pressure in that area to accommodate 5 more houses.
Okay. I'll start with the utilities, so they can certainly come off of Community Street. It's a larger water line than what's on Rosemont, that's of sufficient size to serve those residential lots in there. And then sewer, can come in off of that side as well with an easement between 2 of these lots, and then it would manifold out to serve the others. So that's been looked at, even when they were looking at it from a 4-lot subdivision. Did I get all of that right, Randy, as far as the utilities? I wanted to make sure I didn't misspeak because he was the one really digging in on that. As far as Rosemont Street, I can speak on, its current condition is, if you look at the subdivision sketch plan that's in your packet, you see where it says existing residence. That residence is served off of where it's paved. Just past there, it is unpaved towards the end of Rosemont.
About 135 feet of unpaved road.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the 2 lots. So, somewhere between 125. I think John may have measured it. Somewhere between 125, 140, before the edge of their property line, that it is unpaved.
Well, that's going to have to be paved, certainly before I would vote for it to be approved. But, what are the mechanisms in place, if any, to pave it and to pay for it?
Well, a couple things can be done. If that was a condition of the variance, you could state that condition that the applicant needs to, based on the engineer's estimate of the cost to finish out that section, that the applicant would need to pay into an escrow account of sorts to cover that cost. You could condition that the applicant has to complete that, and then my assumption would be that they would then work with us to figure out, okay, what is that cost, and decide if they wanted to move forward based on what that cost is. I can't speak for them in that regard, but I would say that if this is something that is going to try to be a condition, that we are specific, so we know what we're dealing with left and right parameters.
Would you agree that the road would, whether Mr. Reynolds is building or not, needs to be paved anyway? It's muddy and a dirt road. There's houses, might be the only road in the city that's not paved. So regardless if Mr. Reynolds was building or not, would you think the city should pave that road?
Not to put you on the
Wow,
spot or
Robbie.
anything.
We have had some issues getting emergency vehicles down there. We've had to go in and fill those ruts. So, yeah, it's a roadway in the city. It's probably one of our only open and public roadways that's not finished in its entirety. The 2 structures that are at the very end were put in the mid to late 90s. I don't know if it was under the radar or what it was. The lot that is currently there that they're starting to redo, it is served off of paved. But I would certainly think that if development's going to occur further down, that it would need to be paved. I will say this. We don't have a mechanism in our ordinance that says he without this variance request, it says he can't put a house off of some dirt road. So that's why I'm asking, at least if you at least be specific in what you're requesting of the applicant, so we can work with them and work through as you desire.
John, can I ask you a question? Can you tell me what you're prepared to do in terms of that road?
John, come up to it.
what are we prepared to do in terms of that road, Steve? Is that your question?
That's my question, yeah.
Okay.
Are you prepared to
I
put
want
an
you to
escrow or?
understand that the decision we're making is just, I think it's just one, it may be two, but I believe 5 can go there.
Right.
So it becomes an economics decision. So would I be willing to make a contribution or work in good faith? I think I've demonstrated that with the city in the past when we had to do some things on First Street, that in good faith, we certainly will do something. But if you came to me and said that I've got to pave that road to those other 2 lots down there, no. That wouldn't be, I mean, you got some citizens here that have been living with that for quite some time. I mean, honestly, that road probably should have been paved before now, but I get it. I'm the guy that's stepping up here and asking for something to be a little different. But, yes, and I mean, I'm willing to do something, but I'd like to have some type of expectation of what it is y'all are looking for me to do.
Maybe you could participate in not to exceed a certain amount.
Something along those lines or whatever would be beneficial. I mean, the road thing kind of hit, and I would agree with you. I mean, from an emergency services, I think DOT's probably, with taking their stuff in and out right across the street, have probably done some damage to that road and whatnot. So I would just ask for some consideration before you ask for the moon for me on something like that.
Well, and I would say, John, that that certainly seems reasonable to me. I don't ever think that I anticipated you'd pay for the entire, but a cost sharing, and if we wind up paving from all the way back down to those 2 lots, a cost sharing, because it will benefit you economically. But I certainly never anticipated you to pay the whole time.
I mean, if you guys have got a couple of roads there, I mean, we've talked about Camellia. I mean, something needs to come up with Camellia. So the scale of you guys purchasing something and me contributing something to that makes a lot more sense than me just trying to get 100 foot of road paved.
And real quick, just because, I mean, we're speaking in really kind of arbitrary terms.
Right.
I mean, I don't think you've priced the road. I know we
No.
haven't priced the road. So if this is the route we're going with, some type of cost sharing, I think you need to give Scott some latitude on the approval, if it's contingent on that, I mean, I think we've demonstrated we worked with John pretty well on the First Street project. And just, I mean, for what it's worth, he was really kind of fair with us, and I think we were fair with him. And I think if you kind of give us some left and right parameters, and maybe those left to right parameters turn into something at this point, if we want to put a quantified number on it, and Scott kind of ran through a little bit of this math today, a little bit. There would be 5 homes on that stretch, and maybe 20% of the cost be and John doesn't have a clue what that's going to be, so he can't commit to it today, I'm certain.
Right.
But maybe if we work off of those numbers in some form or fashion, and maybe it's not 20%, maybe it ends up being 10% because he doesn't need but the one additional. I'm just trying to throw something out there that
Appreciate that.
would be
Appreciate that, Chris.
economical.
Rather than
And
try
one
to
other
make
thing,
such a.
keep in mind,
yes.
though, too, that we will be paying for some tap-in fees that are pretty substantial. I mean, if you're talking about 5 houses at 8,400, well, 400's a meter, $80,000 a house, $40,000 in tap-in fees. So keep that in mind as well. Was there anything else?
Scott, or
Maybe we need to table this, and at our workshop, by then, we can work with the applicant and come back at this at our next meeting in August. Council,
Does
that would
that-
be
does
up
that
to you
work
to
for
make
you,
a
John?
motion.
Can I ask one more question while he's here, though, to ask
Sure,
this question?
please
Oh,
do.
go ahead.
Because I've heard 2 different numbers. What's the total lot? What size is the lot?
The lot that's there now is about 1.5 acres.
Okay, an acre and a half.
So,
Okay.
so Christie, kind of help you out, I know there's a lot of language in that variance, because there's like 5 different variants. One of them is a setback because of an existing structure. We
Right.
can't move the existing structure, so 2 of those are that.
Right.
One of them is the square footage of the lot sizes, and then one is the width of the lots themselves. So the
I
square
think there was some
footage and the width.
discrepancy at the workshop, though, because it was told like half an acre. So I just want to make sure that we have the right acreage.
Yeah, I think it's all spelled out on this.
Yeah.
Is it 4?
4, not
Okay.
5, right?
4 lots in there right now.
Right.
without coming to
Without
us.
coming to
Right.
us,
Right.
yeah.
Sizes are minimum
So 2
12,000
extra lots, yeah.
So that's just it, it's a 1 point, almost 1.2.
No, you would know that better than me. I mean, absolutely. That's what I thought it was, 1.5.
Hey,
Thought it was 1.5, but if you guys are comfortable with putting a not to exceed number, somebody mentioned something like that. I mean, 30 days is just 30 days back, puts us back behind. But if I'd rather table it than take a no. If we can get a better idea.
I say let's
but-
table it, we can come up with a better number that we're all
Yeah.
comfortable with.
$100,000.
kind of on the,
We'll back down and we won't do it. So, I mean, we always have a financial decision to just put 4 instead of 6. I
That's
mean,
what, but we're so, I mean, Alec probably could help us figure out a number before any of us could figure it out, sitting here eyeballing it. I mean,
right.
well, I want to
I don't
say,
know.
I want to say this, don't go out of here discouraged. I want to say thank you for spending your money here, and you build a good product. I know the product you build. You take a risk. You've made that area look phenomenal.
Yes.
It's went from a 1 to a 10. The house you're redoing now, I don't know if y'all have looked at it. It is phenomenal.
Looks great.
So I want to thank you for that.
Well, we try.
So-
I mean, we take pride in what we do, but if, I kind of have an agreement with you guys. We can table this for 30 days and try to get some better numbers, and Scott and I will work on something before we come in here.
I think ultimately that'll
Counsel, I
work
need
to
a-
your advantage, John.
I don't disagree with that, Steve.
I need a motion to counter, to table the motion
Make a motion, we table it.
until next business meeting. There's a motion made to table by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Cox. All in favor? And the motion is tabled.
Okay, council. Moving on, we have the city council items. We have 3 interrelated. We've had first readings, we've had workshops, public hearing at planning commission on these, but we have to go through each one individually. So you have the approval disapproval petition filed with the city of Richmond Hill by Simcoe Investment Group Incorporated requesting a rezoning of approximately 13.69 acres with a map and parcel number 0461162001. The request is to rezone the property from R2 low-density single-family district to R3 moderate-density residential district. The other 2, again, are interrelated. We can read those or not, but within your packet, council, you will find all of the same information as far as location map, where it's currently commercial, where it's currently residential, how those lines will change. I've also included the current zoning map and the future land use plan. New addition, because it came in from the applicants, engineers, the traffic impact analysis came back. I've provided you the executive summary on that. It is indicating that Camellia Street from State Route 144 to the access driveway off of Camellia, that the paved surface of the road has to be widened to 22 feet to accommodate the increased two-way traffic. That's been discussed in all of the meetings up to this point, but I wanted to provide you with that executive summary. And lastly, I've got within here for you the standards for the zoning map amendment. Those are the standards for rezoning. The applicant is here and can answer any specific questions you have about the request. And I think that's all I have.
Council, do you have any questions or concerns?
I've got a couple questions about the preliminary plat, but we'll get to that.
Council, any questions about the rezoning? Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Ward. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-1. Based on my authority given to me by our charter, I'm going to veto this decision by council. I am entitled to 3 days to explain why, and I will deliver that to council on Friday.
Since there are multiple requests regarding the same item, do we need to go through each one?
I would think not.
Okay.
I don't have any questions now about the preliminary plat.
Okay, so if the rezoning is not moving forward due to being, what's that? You do
think
need to
you
go
gotta
through
do
all of
each
them?
one of them,
We have
because
to do each
they're
one.
on the agenda, they have to have a decision.
Then,
Okay.
then
It's never easy. Well, I mean, it shouldn't be. I'm not complaining about it.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 3, which is the rezoning of approximately .86 acres, 0461-160, from R2 low density to single-family district to R3 moderate density residential.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Scholar, seconded by Councilmember Fussell. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-1. I will also veto that motion.
do one more.
All right, and the last one, I make a motion, we approve the petition to rezone approximately 14.83 acres, being a portion of map and parcel number 0461-162, from C3 interchange commercial to R3 moderate density residential district.
Motion made by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Ward. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 3-1. The motion passes. I will also veto that motion.
Okay. So the last item for consideration, if the rezoning requests are vetoed, would stand until the next meeting as well, because you can't approve a preliminary plat for a subdivision, because it would be in violation of the zoning ordinance, because it wouldn't be zoned. So that will need to sit.
We need to,
Subsequent
Do we
meeting.
need to
So
table that till the next meeting?
My suggestion would be to table it, because what'll happen is that the rezoning request to either affirm or go against the veto would be at the next meeting. So table it to be safe, name when it's coming.
Council, I will entertain a motion to table.
I'll make a motion that we table the item number 5, the preliminary plat submitted by Simcoe Investment for the product being referred to as the Robertson Tract subdivision.
Motion to table by Councilmember Scholar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Fussell. All in favor of tabling? The motion passes. Council, anything, as Mayor Fowler used to say, for the good?
Yes, I did want to congratulate all of the staff and all of the individuals who were a part of making the 4th of July celebration a success. Did a fantastic job. It was well organized despite the rain showers. I think it was a big success and everybody enjoyed it. So my hat's off to the team and to everybody that came out and participated. So
Thank you.
it was definitely a Bryan County, City of Richmond Hill event. So
That wasn't a motion, but I'll second it. Anyway, any preliminary numbers on the amount of people, Dawn? It was a lot of people. Okay, yeah. It's the most I've ever seen at a 4th of July event.
some of the vendors actually sold out of their food,
Yeah.
and that was how successful it was.
All right. With that said,
I'd
we
like to
do have,
acknowledge the guys here on the front row.
Sure, I
Thank
was
you all
about
for,
to
oh,
do
you were
that.
about to do that. Go ahead then.
Oh, we
Okay.
hadn't forgotten.
anyway, we had a lot of special guests tonight, but we have 2 very special guests right here on the front row, 2 Boy Scouts. Thank you, young men. What a worthy organization you're a part of. Council, is there a motion to approve, to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Ward, seconded by Councilmember Scholar. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.